Hello, everyone. Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. How are we all today? It's Monday morning in Australia, and I thought it's an opportune time to take a look at the week ahead. We've got a lot going on around the world, from protests, trying to save democracy, protesting Brexit and shutting down of the UK Parliament, over to Hong Kong, trying to save what they consider threats to their democracy and a need to save their democracy. We have fires in the Amazons, hurricanes bearing down on the coast of Florida. You know, the economies are, not thriving. So there's instability and unfortunately, and climate crisis and large-scale natural disasters looming. In the middle of all this, we have Vladimir Putin floating around his nuclear reactor on a ship and conducting nuclear-powered missile tests that blow up and kill people. And we have, the insanity of Donald Trump stumbling over his words, lying about calls from China to try and positively impact on the stock market, a president lying about a call from China, saying China was prepared to come to the negotiating table in order to boost the stock market. Never happened. Okay, so it's at first glance, it looks like an insane world. But if we look deeper, there are a lot of good things going on. One of the questions that I want to ask today, well, of course, there are a lot of things going on. We've got people in the UK saying it's not Brexit at all costs. It's not, and it's not at the cost of our democracy. That is good. We've got people power leading the way. We've got a strong reaction to the cruel policies of the Trump administration, and that's one of the things that I want to look at today. Is this cruelty actually backfiring on him in the polls? But let's start off. With a broad look at the week ahead for the US president. What's the week ahead likely to be for Donald Trump, and then we'll go from there. I have already done a quick reading on this, and there's appearing to be things tied up with the Trump organisation this week are occupying this president's mind, whether that's money opportunities or whether it's trying to hold back those attempts to get his financials. What's going on for Trump this week? What are the general conditions for the Trump administration this week? What do we need to know about this week? What's going on for Donald Trump this week? Yeah, I think he's got his mind on his own money as well. There is some kind of news coming forward here with this crow, this page of wands, carrying that stick. This is generally a communication. This crow is carrying this message in this card. So something's coming forward this week. Some kind of communication's coming forward this week. That's the signifier card. I'm using my Crow Tarot, so I'll bring the laptop down. What is the challenge here? The Queen of Swords. This is generally my card for... It can come forward for Nancy Pelosi. It can come forward for the Democrats. It can also come forward for really investigations, and generally for around females as well, a female investigator or a female judge. There is some kind of objectivity, discernment coming forward when we've got these two cards here. So there is some kind of communication coming out to do with potentially could be the Democrats, could be Pelosi. All right, let's see what else is happening here. We've got the Six of Swords. There's movement in this card. Moving on. It could also be relocation. This can also be the hurricane as well. What's going on for Trump this week? Page of Pentacles, there is money news coming up. I feel somebody's already got something is where I'm being drawn, because this is in the past position. Okay, the Ace of Swords, yeah. There is something coming out with this Ace of Swords, a new plan or some kind of truth coming out this week. All right, now we've got the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, this is, again, I mean, this is a money tree here, but it's also a money tree that's fairly bare. And so there are plans really to try and restore I guess, the wealth, the prosperity. So this is going back to the drawing board to achieve some sort of goal. So we asked what's coming up for Trump this week. There's a variety of things here. He's going back to the drawing board in some way in order to achieve his goals. There is some news coming out around his money with this Ace of Swords. Obviously, the okay. So this I got to pull on the hurricane coming forward here. He did relocate money from FEMA to ICE. So yeah, he's going to have to be juggling or reordering things here. He may need the congressional assistance here because Pelosi's right here in the frame. Now I know they're not back. I think the 9th of February is when Congress returns, or around that time. Somebody let me know when Congress returns, but I feel that there is a lawmaker here, or there is a objective person coming into this scenario. A lot of things going on for Trump this week. Needless to say, he's carrying a heavy load with this 10 of Wands. We know he's carrying a heavy load because if you just watch any of the clips where he's talking, he's well and truly off track in his speech patterns, his focus. He's getting things wrong. He told Alabama that a hurricane was going to hit Alabama. He's carrying this heavy load. Now we have the 8 of Cups, and this is loss. So there are a lot of things happening this week for Trump. Needless to say, he's under pressure. We've got the government with the Hierophant coming forward here. The government in the hopes and fears. Again, I thought there was some kind of news coming forward around his some kind of money news. So it could be we hear, I don't know when that Trump-appointed judge is ruling on the Deutsche Bank records, but it could also be that we get some news around that as well. Page of Swords, absolutely, we're going to get some news on that. That crow is carrying the news, of the truth. We've got defending oneself with this 7 of Wands. So Trump having to again defend himself. We've got the 10 of Swords. Okay, so not a good week for Trump, I don't think. We've got the Hanged Man, base of the pack energies, unable to move forward with something. And we've got the 6 of Wands, a victory there. I'm not sure who that's for. And we've got the 2 of Wands, really making a plan for the future. Okay, for future victory. Okay, so his progress, and I'm going to get to that next question, his progress in the polls, winning in 2020, that's on his mind. He's not doing so well at all in the polls. Okay, so all of those things are likely to be coming forward this week. I'm just going to ask a question around his financials. Are we likely to get news of his either tax returns or loan documents? Let's have a look. Yeah, there's a lot on his mind, and there's a lot of heavy lifting for him. With that 10 of Swords, he's not going to finish the week in a winning position, I don't think. Okay. All right, so, right, Right, let's just have a look here. Are we likely to get some information coming out around Deutsche Bank? Are we likely to get some sort of information coming out around Deutsche Bank? It's certainly in the frame. When I looked through the news feeds today, there are a number of programs really looking at Deutsche Bank in quite significant detail. So are we likely to hear something, some kind of news around? It's only a page of Pentacles, so it's might not be the big news. It might be some kind of smaller news around Trump's finances. So I've just got the Hanged Man and the Five of Wands dropping out, which the Five of Wands, of course, is could be his lawyers continuing to argue. So it could be that we get news around that case. Let's just see what the cards have to say. Are we likely to get some news coming out around Trump's financials, whether they be loan documents or tax returns? We're likely to get some sort of news this week. All right, let's see what we've got. We've got the King of Swords. This is my card for Mueller. But it's also the card playing chess. It's also the investigators, lawyers coming forward, courts arguing before the courts is where I'm getting a pull to. What's challenging that is the Eight of Cups, loss. Okay, so somebody's going to get suffer some kind of loss here. Now we've got the government as the foundation of the reading. I do feel this is the congressional investigations in relation to this question. We have the Six of Pentacles here. It is his loan documents in the past position. Loans and debts is the meaning of this card. Okay. Right, we've got the Ten of Swords coming out here. It actually came out reversed. I don't usually read reverses. Somebody asked me why. I prefer to clarify. I use a clarifying and a mirroring technique. I find reversals sometimes overtly negative. It's not to say that I won't read them as a rigid decision, but I prefer to read another way. Okay, the Ten of Swords we've got. Because this card came up in the last reading, I'm going to read it that he actually will be, there will be a loss. The potential is that Trump could suffer some sort of loss here in relation to the Trump organisation. This is the Ten of Pentacles, my Trump organisation card. The Five of Swords, there's some kind of abuse of power currently going on here. And that's, an understatement, isn't it? Okay. The Knight of Cups, accepting an offer. This is doing deals with somebody. This is like the Knight of Cups is like a seduction card here. All right, so abuse of power and accepting something. The Ten of Cups is my in the hopes and fears position. This is my family card. I usually read it as the voter. This card is for you. It's for me. It's for the person, your next door neighbour. It's for your community. It's our interests. This is in the hope position. That's interesting. And we've got the Eight of Wands. Things coming forward very, very, very quickly. Some news is going to come forward this week in relation to his finances. There is a strength and an endurance card mirroring this as well. And we've got the Chariot. Wow. Okay, something's coming forward this week. What is at the base of the reading? We've got the Magician actualizing something into reality. This could be about the Republicans. Okay, we've got the Empress. We've got Russia. That's my card for Russia. And we've got the King of Pentacles. This is Donald Trump, the businessman. We've got some sort of information coming forward this week in relation to Trump's loans and also his debts. All right, so that could be a win for the Democrats. It could be that judge rules, they can have it. There's some kind of news coming forward. Because if we've got the Ten of Swords, I'm assuming that Ten of Swords is for Trump. Either way, We've got news coming forward in relation to his loans and his potentially his tax returns. It's not the full thing, I don't think, but it could lead to the full documents being available in the future. So it could be a decision in the courts. Hopefully, will that decision be positive? Let me just pull a quick 3 cards. Well, the decision, if it is a court decision coming forward, or an investigation trail being illuminated, or a media story that may not bring the full truth out, but may bring a lead, will this be positive in relation? Will this lead to the full disclosure of his tax returns and financials? Will this be a win to try and get those financials? Okay, so we've got the Queen of Swords. So this is my card for Pelosi and the Democrats, the investigators. We asked about that. We've got Judgment. Okay, so it will allow judgment to occur. We've got the Two of Wands, suggesting that in time, this is a plan that will mature in time. Base of the energy, Russia, the Magician, and the Ten of Swords. So we've got something coming this week that will eventually lead to something more substantial in time. It is to do around the money trail. All right, so let's have a look. I want to take a look. First of all, my heart goes out to those affected by the shootings in Texas. And I want to ask, when Congress returns, will there be pressure now, renewed pressure? Well, will there be gun reform? Will there be gun reform? I did read something around Beto O'Rourke. You know, I think he said this is effed. We have the governors coming forward, the Texas governor calling for gun reform. Will there be gun reform? Will there be gun reform in America as a result of this latest shooting? Will there be gun reform in America as a result of this latest shooting? No, they're still arguing. They're still going to argue around it with this Five of Wands. I'll just bring the laptop down. They're still going to be fighting at obstacles and challenges, unfortunately. And this is the loss. The loss of money is what is stopping this reform from going through. And we've got the Page of Swords, which has come out reversed. So it's actually trying to bury the truth. What's at the base of the pack? We do have some sort of news coming forward. The King of Pentacles in relation to, it's all about the money and business, and the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so those energies are quite clear. There's not going to be gun reform while ever the Republicans are sitting there in power. Now, I want to look at the deportation of sick kids. I have to say that in Australia we have something similar going on, and there's been an outcry over it. We have a very, some people perceive the Minister of Homeland Security here, he's a hardliner, and so it's not just in America that we have these very, very cruel immigration policies designed to show strength through cruelty. What I want to know, is it losing Trump votes? So it might be appealing to his base, but is it actually costing him? Are these cruel policies costing Trump votes? Are these cruel policies costing Trump votes? Cruel policies costing Trump votes. Okay, the Ace of Cups. People are absolutely overwhelmed with emotion around this. This Ace of Cups is the kind of emotional outpouring that will lead to change. Okay, the Page of Pentacles being challenged. Okay, so the policies have to keep coming forward because, you know, the moneyed interests put Trump in power. Part of that, of course, is to tackle illegal immigration. And you know, I have to say, it's these nationalist, racist, fascist kind of policies that are expressed. It's all about the money. In some ways it's the ideology, but it's mostly about the money. And why would it be about the money? Immigrants tend in some ways to be more progressive voters, and this is all about keeping the Republicans in power. However, it's an outpouring of grief here. The Knight of Pentacles. This is again shoring up financial resources. So I'm going to the donors as well. Really giving the Trump campaign money, or any Republicans money, in order for these hardline policies. It's a show of strength and cruelty, or strength through cruelty. Again, it's to prevent this loss here. Although this is also the potential, what's in the sky. And this could be losing votes, immediate future. The Nine of Wands. Okay, so they are taking a hit in the polls because of this. We've got the Two of Pentacles. They're juggling. So on one hand, this is what their donors want. It's the same with gun reform. It's all about the money. It's all about retaining power. But there's a significant outpouring here. And so they're juggling. They're juggling at the moment. The environment around it's creating division and disunity. The Queen of Pentacles. This is also instability in the economy. It doesn't matter whether I read on the bogus calls from China that Trump lied about. I can say that he lied about that in order to give the stock market a bit of a rise. It doesn't matter whether it's that or whether it's stopping immigration and labour shortages. It's all amounting to the same thing. There is an instability in the economy. We've got the Moon card. This is a crisis of faith. Even amongst Republican voters, there is a crisis of faith going on here, and he's isolated. So there's an answer here to this question, and the Seven of Swords. This is a strategy that relies on betrayal of values. I think he's not going forward with this Hangman. The Ten of Pentacles. This is around this dynastic wealth, and it's also about having to defend himself. Okay, so this is not just costing Trump votes, it's also costing him money as well. And one final card, we've got Justice, suggesting that it's up to the discretion, I think, of the of your Department of Home Affairs, Homeland Security, to whether or not they deport these sick children. Democrats have written to your department to ask them to be not to use their discretion to deport these sick children. I'm just going to quickly. It is costing Trump votes. It's also it's affecting his the Trump organisation, the Trump brand. I mean, how much more can it be dragged through the mud? Will children be deported? Will children be deported? Will children be deported? Will sick children be deported? Okay. So in time, it's a plan that matures in time. We've got the Eight of Pentacles, and this is the legacy here. I feel they might hold off, although we've got the Seven of Swords. It's this betrayal. We've got the Page of Wands. This is communication. They could be told to hold off, right at the moment, and perhaps a moratorium here. We've got the Three of Pentacles, teamwork. This is affecting them. It's affecting them in the polls. They know it. And we've got the Eight of Cups, which is loss. Okay, what's at the base here? We've got the Knight of Cups, an offer coming forward fairly quickly. the King of Pentacles, the businessman, Trump. We've got the American voters. I think that these deportations won't be in your face. The reason that they won't be visible, and it could be that Trump tells just to hold off on them, that could be what comes down, because it would be an absolute disaster, public relations disaster for him to have a child die after his deportation. Okay, that's interesting. So let's just wait and see. These policies, these cruel policies, are costing Trump votes. Now, I just want to go to do an update on the Amazon fires and also the hurricane as well bearing down. I want to look at those funds that were taken from FEMA. Okay, so I'm just going to switch to my 78 tarot, mythical tarot. I was using my Crow tarot before. I'm just going to ignore that ringing phone. Someone else will get that. All right, so money, congressional budgeting, the 250 million that was diverted from FEMA. This is going to come back to haunt Trump. This diversion of FEMA funds, is it going to come back and haunt Trump? They would need to then go through the Congress, I'm assuming, to try and get more money. If FEMA comes up short, is it going to come back and haunt Trump? You know, he's a walking disaster. That's all I've got to say. An absolute walking disaster. All right. Is the FEMA funds that he took, the 250 million, is that going to come back and haunt Trump in relation to it now being needed, particularly in Florida? Republicans took Florida in the midterms, unfortunately in the Senate. It's a key state for Trump to win. He's got Mar-a-Lago there. Are the funds that he diverted from FEMA going to come back and haunt Donald Trump? Okay. All right, let's have a look. The Wheel of Fortune. It feels like that's what is being played out here. It's almost like a sideshow alley where you go and, you know, put your gold coin down and hope for a win. This is a signifier card. The wheel is turning, and it's tick-tock for Donald Trump in relation to this question. Okay, the challenge here, the Nine of Pentacles, having enough money for one's needs. That's an interesting card coming out as a challenge. Okay, it's two signifier cards. The Five of Pentacles, money loss, not having enough money. The Hermit, isolation in the past. Okay, so it wasn't a popular decision when this money was taken, and we know the background there. Okay, it might have appealed to a handful in the Trump of cult, the cult of Trump. In the sky, we've got the Devil card. And this is greed. It's going to be seen when you start to have this suffering. It's going to be seen as, you know, this again, painting this picture of this corruption, money in politics. Four of Cups. There's disappointment here. It's going to come back and bite him. The Two of Wands. This is a plan for the future, but this is almost like. There's something here that he's going to have to pay the piper on this decision, I feel. The Queen of Pentacles, absolutely stability, financial stability. Look what this is linking to, disappointment and the Devil. In the hopes and fears, the government, I feel that he's going to have to go back now. There's going to be some argy-bargy over these allocations. We've got the Six of Wands. This is a victory card. But it's mirrored, it's challenged by loss. So his victory around the border wall and the shutting down the government, the executive orders, etc., was seen as a victory, but it's actually going to cause loss. And we've got the Magician here, the Magician being the Republicans. The Ten of Pentacles, this is this big money that I was talking to you about. The Eight of Wands, restriction. Okay, so there's going to be a restriction on the funds, and unfortunately, we've got the Seven of Pentacles. This is around delusions, inability to make choices. Okay, so I'm feeling that this victory is actually going to be seen as a loss. So his victory in reallocating those funds was a victory at the time for the Republicans, but there appears to be loss attached to it now. Let's have a look. Will this money actually be needed in the aftermath of the natural disasters, in the aftermath of the hurricane? Will this money be needed? I feel... Will this money be needed? Okay. The Ace of Cups, yes, it will be. And unfortunately, there is going to be loss here. We've got this this ace. The water is pouring out. It's an emotional loss here as well. The Three of Pentacles. This is again coming together to fix something, to repair something. And we've got the Page of Wands. This is undertaking a particular task. What's at the base of the pack? Justice. Yep. Six of Pentacles, loans and debts, borrowing money, and the King of Cups. It could be the Congress now is going to be asked to allocate funds, more funds. Okay, so I think that is going to come back to hurt him. And one last question. Seeing as we started the week on Trump, what's his week going to be like? We'll ask how he's going to finish the week. Let's have a look. How will Trump finish the week? We've got a pretty big week coming up. How is he going to finish the week? How is Donald Trump going to finish the week? Okay, how is Donald Trump going to finish the week? Probably badly. How is Donald Trump going to finish the week? Okay, the Guardian energy here with this card here. It's a protective energy. Let's just keep that there. There's going to be a level of protection needed this week. Six of Cups, going back to the past. Again, I feel this is the money to help post hurricanes, strength and endurance. Okay, and we've got endings, unfortunately, here. A lot of water around these cards and having to juggle finances. One more, and the Page of Cups. This can be some surprise news coming out as well. What's at the base? Again, we've got Justice at the base, and the Page of Wands. Again, some kind of news coming out, and the Ace of Swords, some kind of truth. Okay, so I feel that this is I hope that the hurricane doesn't do the damage that that commentators are predicting. But there is an issue here around money that Trump's going to be called into question for in relation to these natural disasters. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Let's just pull 3 additional cards here, moving away from Donald Trump. 3 cards, 3 messages from Spirit in relation to the week ahead. What do we need to know? What do my viewers need to know for the week ahead in relation to our own individual needs? Messages from Spirit in relation to our own individual needs for this week ahead. Messages from Spirit. I'll just cut the pack because we've been reading about Donald Trump. We don't want our energies mixed with his. 3 cards for the week ahead for our viewers. What do we need to know, Spirit? 3 cards. Okay. Okay, the Ten of Pentacles. This is around. I do feel we are coming into an energy where this is savings and putting money away for a rainy day. So really knowing what you need and what you don't need, budgeting. It's around. My feeling is it's around that. It's saving for the future. Okay, the Nine of Wands. So we're feeling a little bit battle weary with everything that has gone on. And there's a need for boundaries here. This often comes forward when I read on when we're in this cycle where we've got natural disasters unfurling. We have protests, democracies are threatened, and the insanity that is everything to do with Trump world. Um, I feel that we get weary as well. We get drawn into that energy. However, we've got the Four of Wands, and this is talking about family. This is talking about a week where I know we talked about budgeting, but you pack a picnic hamper and you go out fishing, or you do something that actually with your family, because this is a family card as well, that something to celebrate in some way. So it's not all going to be bleak. I'm just going to keep going because we've got the Six of Wands here. There are victories around the corner. There is an ending of cycle with this Ten of Swords, and that's really what you need to bear that in mind. And we've got the King of Cups, this beautiful energy that keeps coming up in my readings now, moving toward a more benign way of living, really. And that will be reflected in our leadership. So some lovely cards coming forward. We are reevaluating. We're moving toward the Nine of Pentacles, more financial stability. And I just want to pull these two cards up. Whenever you're feeling a little bit battle weary, we have the Four of Wands. This is some kind of celebration, and we've got the King of Cups moving toward this energy, as opposed to the Emperor and the King of Pentacles that always come forward in my readings. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that week ahead. There's a lot in this session, and a big week for us all. So I'll leave it there. Have a lovely week, everyone, and I'll be back again with another reading soon. Thank you.